evening, and thank you for joining us. I have the great pleasure of being here with Dr. Randy Smart, and this is another edition of The Doctor is In.
Hey, John. How are you?
Good. Now, this one I think is going to be a little bit of a more personal than normally, right? And then because rumor has it you took one for the team for the for community herd immunity thing, and you had COVID-19, and tell us about it, because I know it affected you.
Well, right, John. You know, I've been doing these shows for, gosh, a number of years, and I don't think I ever talk about me.
Yeah.
It's just not
You're
what
not
I
the story.
do. Yeah, I'm not the story. And interesting, in early December, I got COVID, was tested, proven to be COVID. And at the time, there were actually about 5 of us that got COVID at the same time. My wife was one of them, my wife Kathleen. And I mean, we lived together, and even though you try, I mean, so Kathleen and I got COVID, and then we had a couple close friends that got it. And so there were 5 of us that became infected in December. And it's almost like you keep a diary, you know. This is interesting. I'm part of what I usually talk about.
Right.
You know, let's see what happens. And we were just talking earlier. Today for me is day 67 from the time I thought I was sick, and it's been very interesting. And I wanted to share some of my observations with the audience tonight.
Yeah. I know there's a kind of a laundry list of different different symptoms. What were yours? What really?
Well, the first thing I noticed was cough, and I spend my weekends outside working, like a lot of us in the county do, and so I'm cutting wood. You know, I'm doing a barn project. I'm coughing more, and I thought, well, it's maybe the wood. I don't know.
Sure.
You know, not unusual. And my wife swings by and she says, "Seems like you're coughing more." And I said, "Yeah, I'm probably cutting too much wood or something." And then kind of the cough kept going, and that would have been on a Saturday, and by Sunday I knew I was sick. So the first thing was cough, and then that was followed by headaches, ultimately sore throat. About 3 or 4 days into it, sore throat. The headaches were very atypical for me, and all 5 of us actually got headaches. We should talk about the differences in the 5 of us. And then there was kind of this, it's not even so much fatigue, it's just can't do a lot.
Malaise,
it just can't do a lot. And so you would do like an hour of something, like read a book, and you go, well, I think I'll rest for a while. and so that went on for a long time. You know, I think one of the messages I would like to tell the audience is back a year ago, March 2020, myself and many others told everybody, this is really just like the flu. This isn't a whole lot different than the flu. Think of it as a cold. It's not a big deal.
Right.
That really wasn't very accurate. And that's not based on so much my experience as what we've learned in the last year.
And a question on that is, because it seems like, you know, that was the party line a little bit out of CDC and the rest of the stuff that it's, you know, more like the flu type of stuff. Looking back on that, do you think that if they really believed that, then there wouldn't have been as much of a focus? I mean, there wouldn't have been the global panic over the pandemic if they truly believed that it wasn't much work. Because it seems like they were soft selling it deliberately because, you know, somehow they had to know that it was significantly worse. Is that
well with the pandemic?
Maybe I didn't word that.
I think I got the question.
Yeah.
With the pandemic, there's the science. And then there's the population management, and then there's even the economy. So there's different forces in how you manage a pandemic, and you know, the soft shoeing, maybe that's the exact right thing to do. I don't know much about population management,
Because you don't want the lemmings running off the cliff type of stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to create panic and pandemonium. And messaging is really important. I really believe, this doesn't have anything to do with my experience, but I really believe we should be honest, just honest. But there are different ways to say things.
Right.
And you can say, well, man, this is not the flu, you're going to hate it. Well, that's not the exact message you want. This is not really exactly like the flu, it's different. We think we've got a handle on it. We are going to, mobilize all our resources. I mean, there's different ways to say things. But if I had to go back to March 2020, I think I would have told people, this is not the flu. Because it's really not. Now, for some people, it's very mild. For some people, it's actually asymptomatic from what we can tell. But it can be very mild. It can be nothing more than the sniffles. And then you sort of say, well, no big deal, go back to work. For some people, it's a fatal disease.
Right.
And for a bunch of people, and we're going to probably talk about this on another show, for a bunch of people, this is a disabling event that they're probably not prepared for, and we as a medical community are not prepared for. But going back to when the 5 of us got sick, the outcome was, now 67 days later, is one has died, and the one was a relatively healthy guy and a productive guy and a good guy. One is completely resolved, and then there are 3 of us that still have symptoms, still have stuff.
You're functional and everything, but you just some chronic stuff that just doesn't feel quite right? Or
doesn't go away.
Okay.
Doesn't go away. So the first 3 weeks, and all of us started a little bit differently. Like I started with the cough. My wife, Kathleen, it's like 2 a.m, and she just punches me. And I go, hello? And she says, I have fever and I'm really sick. It's like 2 a.m. Like,
and it's all your fault.
Boom.
No, I'm just not.
right. And I wanted you to fix it. But like 2 a.m, just boom. And man, I reached over. She's hot. She's sweaty. Didn't have cough. I mean, the cough came later.
Right.
But just boom, fever and sweats. One of the others just had this gradual malaise, not much of a cough, malaise and weakness. And then one had, shortness of breath. So it came on differently, kind of for all 5 of us. And so I don't think you can say everybody starts with a sore throat or starts with a cough or, it just starts differently in different people.
So everybody's immune system is when it gets under duress, will exhibit different symptoms, once it starts going at you, basically.
I think that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think a lot of the symptoms are probably related to the immune system and the immune response. And immune response is a good thing. That's how we kill the virus. That's why I have natural immunity today. But we know the immune system can be a problem. And we know of many, many diseases where the immune system is not your friend. Rheumatoid arthritis is an example of one. Lupus is an example of one. Lyme disease is an example of one. So there are many diseases where your immune system is too fired up about the wrong things. But I think a lot of the symptoms are related. I thought it was interesting the way I lost my sense of smell. It would have been day 4. And I was feeling punky, and I was home. I decided to work from home. So I eat lunch, and lunch is some sort of sandwich. I can't remember exactly. Everything's relatively okay. And then for dinner, I'm feeling a little more punky, and I decided, well, I think I'll have soup. And I can't taste it. Like, boom, I can't. I'm going, I can't taste this soup.
Right.
And she goes, well, can you smell it? And I go, I can smell that it's hot.
It's warm,
but I can't tell you what it is. And it was just like suddenly, just boom. it's kind of weird. You almost wonder what exact moment that afternoon
Right.
did you lose your taste and smell.
Right.
And that's kind of persisted, actually. I have better taste today, but I can't smell much. And in the medical profession, you know, we rely on smell to do our work. I won't elaborate on that, but I would prefer to have my smell intact.
Got it.
Right.
Got it. Because you can, I mean, for diagnostic stuff, sometimes you can
smell
tell
things. Yeah.
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 Like if somebody has a diabetic crisis,
Oh, yes.
they have a smell that we call ketosis, and their breath kind of smells like bananas. And I don't know if you've ever smelled that smell before, but I can walk into a room and smell those bananas, and I can already tell you somebody's blood sugar is 600 or 700, and all I did was walk in the room.
Right.
And now I can't do that.
So it's taken a little bit of your toolkit away.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it definitely has. But I thought it was interesting. I never, in the course of this, I have never felt like threatened or nervous. I've never felt like, you know, I'm in trouble.
Right.
Didn't like it. But more than anything, I was just kind of fascinated, like, I wonder what happens next, you know? And there's always this thought, you know, you could get worse. One of the big complications in COVID is blood clots. And so I was really concerned about blood clots because you sit there.
Right.
I mean, or you lay there, or you sit there, and man, that's when people get blood clots. And so I was a little bit concerned about that, but apparently didn't get any.
So if somebody has a history of leg issues, circulation issues, and stuff like that,
It's something that they should be concerned about if they have COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Huh. I mean, back to the person, now the five of you.
Right.
You know, you said one passed away. I mean, if you're looking at the life cycle of the disease, did he, or I'm not saying who was he or she, but did they know when all of a sudden, I mean, did it turn on them? Was it mild, then all of a sudden it turned, or they immediately, or they knew it was more of a serious case and immediately did they start?
So what we know, I'm going to work my way up to the answer.
Okay.
What we know is in that first 3 weeks, the level of your virus increases. Your immune system kicks in.
Yeah.
And then it starts to decrease. And that becomes a lump. And that lump is sort of the course of the illness. But sometimes as the immune system kicks in, it kind of doesn't go back down. It kind of stays fired up. And as number 5, he got through this part relatively well, at home, feeling okay. But as he transitioned to that immune crisis, I think it's often referred to as a cytokine crisis.
Or just overwhelms everything with fluid type of stuff? Or
Yeah, it starts attacking stuff, like in his case, your lungs.
Yeah.
I don't think he really recognized that transition from the acute to the crisis. And to be honest with you, I don't think, I'm not his doctor. I don't think the medical system really recognized it very well either. I think the medical system says you either got COVID or you don't, and you either need to be hospitalized or you don't. But I don't think they think of it in terms of this is the viral phase, this is the immune phase. There's things we can do in that little valley. There's things we can do if you get into the second lump. Although the signs...
They missed the transition, so to speak?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes, exactly, missed the transition. And then, you know, people are different. You know, people like yourself are pretty stoic and, you know, I'm okay, I don't need help, and I'm okay, and just because I pass out doesn't mean I'm dying, you know. And so he was one of those. He was pretty stoic, and so things really, everything that was done to help him didn't happen soon enough. for a number of the people didn't recognize the transition.
So stuff that may have worked a week before no longer was
Yes,
effective.
exactly.
He just
Right.
missed the window. So
And
to
he's
speak.
being tough and saying, I'm okay, and we're going, no, you're not.
Right.
You're not okay. But you can't tie him down. I mean,
Right.
can't get out there with the handcuffs
Right.
and say you're going to the hospital. But it brings home the point that this disease can be fatal. And I think, what is today? Today's the 3rd. Yesterday, 500 people died in the state of California. Something like 5,000 died in the U.S. and something like 15,000 died worldwide. I mean,
Right.
dude, those are big numbers.
They are.
Those are big numbers. I mean, one death, if it's in your personal life, is just a travesty. And, that could be mom, dad, brother, sister. And those are going on by the hundreds every day.
Do you think one of the things that this is more of a psychological aspect to this is, to me it seems like because so many of these deaths, the grieving process has been, you haven't been able to have funerals, all the normal stuff where people process death and process grief and process for loved ones has been, that's been another casualty of this. And I think that, there's going to be some people who, they've not been able to deal with stuff. They've not been able to do a normal. I mean, I think we're going to have. Aren't we going to have problems with this for years? Just because, people were there, then they're just gone.
It's already happening.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, the headline is always, COVID now. It's not the aftermath. It's the acute. It's the ICU. It's the vaccination. But oh, by the way, in the room is a bunch of behavioral health that is growing exponentially every day. You're exactly right. My group talked about this morning, and there is this huge group of people that are either chronically infected or whatever behavioral health problem they had is worse, or, there's a ton of tension and stress.
Right.
But you're exactly right. These normal things we do to survive the grieving process and to survive even the hospitalization process, we're not able to do.
Right.
And so emotionally, you're kind of left out there going, wait a minute, I need to find a way out of this.
Maybe this is something I shouldn't say, but I think I could, because from the conversations we've had, briefly on some of these shows before, I can tell this has affected you. I don't mean that weird. I know weird is not. You're not quite back to.
I'm not.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I'm
what
not,
I mean.
yes.
I can tell.
No.
There's a. I don't mean that weird, but it was. You
There's
can
a
tell.
difference.
Yeah, I can tell it affected you,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that that it's people should see that it's real. It's because you're still not. You don't feel like you're back 100% yet.
No, I don't. I don't feel like I'm in trouble, and I don't feel like my life is ruined. I worked all day today, yesterday.
Right.
But,
The step isn't quite as light, so to speak. It's still a little labored, huh? Is it?
Yeah, and I feel a little bit older. It's kind of this weird thing. We all age,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
you get a birthday a year older, and
It's like it took something a little bit from you, huh?
it's like aging accelerated a little bit.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's kind of this weird thing. You kind of look in the mirror, and you go, I think I aged a couple years in a couple weeks. That's the way I feel. And nobody wants to really age a lot, but I don't lay awake at night thinking about it, but I'm pretty sure that's true.
Interesting.
And I've talked to my wife about it, Kathleen. I said, I kind of feel a little bit older. And she says, I think we both are. She says, I think this thing that happened to us in December, we aged a little bit. I think that's true. I don't know how you would measure that, I'm a science guy. I want to measure everything. But
Right.
but I think that's really true. And I have a good friend up in Murphy's, who I can tell you has aged 10 years in the last 6 months. I mean, and I have known him most of my life. And so this wasn't something coming. This is something different. And he's okay, and he's he's having fun, but man, he's 10 years older. I can tell you that. I think one of the things I really didn't expect with this illness and really caught me off guard is this idea of waves. So you get fooled, and through 3 weeks you feel better and feel like you're doing a little bit better, and so one day you decide, I'm gonna, maybe do a 1 mile walk, or, maybe I'll go do the winter garden cleanup thing, or something.
Yep.
And so you feel good going into that, and man, you do it for an hour, and you go, man, I don't like this. And so you head back to the house, and so sort of even more than that is you have a good day. You go, great, I'm through this. It's all done. And then the next day you go, man, I don't have anything left. And so there's
a recovery phase after the
good day, bad day, good day, bad day, couple good days, couple bad days. And you just get these waves coming at you, but you can't see them.
Right.
And that really threw me off. I remember the first day I went back to work. I usually work till, I don't know, maybe 6 at night, 6:30. And I got home, the first day I went back to work was easily, 3 weeks plus later. And
so you did take enough time off to let you did, yeah.
Well, it was kind of a convenient time because it was Christmas and New Year's, and so that was an easy thing to do, and there was a lockdown and our clinic was restricted, so it was a pretty easy thing to do. But so I got back to work, and I go, this is going pretty good. I think I got it. Man, I go home at like 3:30, and I just lay down on the couch, and that was it. That was it. Kathleen says, "You okay?" I said, "No, man, I'm not okay. This isn't easy."
A question on this is for people who have gone through this or are going through it, do you think there may be a process almost like retraining to where, okay, that you had your system was under duress and you lost a little bit of cardiovascular fitness, so to speak? Do you think that you're going to say, okay, today I'm going to take it up a notch, and then know that you're going to have to, to force yourself to gradually train yourself back up to a higher level? To force yourself to levels of exertion, or just to regain it, or
to try to recover.
Recover your baseline. Recover back to your baseline.
Well, I'll say this. I'll get to that answer, but if and when you go through this, I think the most important thing you can do is rest and some nourishment.
Got it.
And I think if you try to go to work, for a lot of us, maybe not everybody, for a lot of us, if you try to go to work or you try to do your normal activities, I think you'll have a tougher time.
Okay.
And I don't recommend it. I think you ought to just say, I'm resting.
Listen to your body, let it
recover. Your body's an amazing thing, not yours in particular. But, it's an amazing thing, and if you give it a chance, it does pretty good. But I would say that's not the time to do what you're asking.
So don't fight through it type of stuff.
No, don't go out and run a marathon. Don't do a bunch of push-ups.
That's what I was, do you think people should fight their way through it?
No. But on the other hand, you shouldn't just sit there all day long. You got to move a little bit. You got to get up, maybe walk into the other room, maybe stretch a little bit. Make sure you're not developing blood clots. And then, but you need to rest. You absolutely need to rest. And In my case, that would have been 2 to 3 weeks. But then now, as I've come out of this, day 67,
Yeah.
I am trying to physically recover. I've always enjoyed physical stuff, and I have such respect for body that I'm actually trying to do more things, walk more, exercise more, recover more.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But it's hard to know how to pace yourself with this.
How about your wife? Is she back? How's her recovery been?
She's on day 64, and she's doing really well. She has like so much energy. She's one of these people that have so much energy, it's a problem. And so what?
So you've seen this as a benefit.
Right. What my normal is not her normal.
Right. And
she's been knocked back a little bit.
Okay.
She's had to kind of gear back a little bit and said, look, she normally walks 6-7 miles a day, and right now she might be a 1. So she still has symptoms. She's not depressed or anything, like that. But she's still symptomatic. But she has the benefit of having me in the house, and so she can say, "What does this mean? What does that mean?
Sure.
What do I do next?" A lot of people don't have that.
Right.
They go, "Geez, I don't know if I'm in trouble or not in trouble." And what's the expectation? And how do they get guidance on that?
Yeah. We're at a couple minutes left in this first segment here. So, how would you, your personal stuff, how would you wrap this up? How would you tie up, your personal experience on it?
I would say if you get this, you need to rest. You need to nourish yourself. Tylenol helps, particularly for the headaches. Ibuprofen or Aleve can help. Don't rush things. Use good judgment. If you need medical help, see your doctor, and you've got to be patient, because this isn't a short-term thing. You've got to be patient.
Okay.
That's how I would summarize it.
The group of the 5 of you, is there? How's their prognosis been? How has it? I know there was one bad outcome. But
4 of us are back to work.
Okay.
Up and at 'em. Nobody's disabled. 3 of us still have these lingering symptoms. Everybody's still smiling. And who knows what happens? We're taking this one day at a time. We're not sure a year later what happens to COVID patients.
Right.
Is there some sort of outcome? Like shingles happens like 40, 50 years later. Is there a similar kind of scenario with COVID? We just don't know. We don't know. I'll tell you the thing I like about it, real quick, is we get natural immunity. You get your own immunity, and man, that's like freedom. Suddenly the mask.
So you have your little sticker. You have a sticker.
Yes,
exactly.
I do. Exactly, man. I can go to the grocery store. I can go to the post office, because I can't give it to anybody, and I can't get it from anybody.
Right.
And it's a good feeling to be there.
So you do have a little, your Superman thing.
I survived. COVID survivor. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thanks for sharing it. Because I know sometimes as a medical professional, you put yourself in a box, type of thing, and you're not the story. And I think it's
right. Yeah. There's a lot of sympathy, not a lot of empathy.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I enjoyed it.